y'all. Welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast,
where we give you our honest opinions
on good entertainment. I'm Morgan.
I'm Kerri.
I'm Nicole.
And without further ado,
here's today's episode.
We hope you enjoy.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast, where we give you our honest opinions on good entertainment. I'm your host, Kerri, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Morgan and Nicole. And we have some very special guests with us. We have James Healy and Colleen Miller and Emily Matheson from Love at the Christmas Contest on Great American Family. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for having us. Appreciate
Of course.
Supporting the film.
Hello. Thank you.
Yes, we loved it. I know,
Yeah.
Nicole, I think it was you and I that recapped it. I
Yeah.
don't think Morgan was available for it, but we absolutely loved it. And this is an unexpected pleasure getting to talk to y'all. That just kind of came out of the blue, but we're so excited to, I think all three of us, Morgan and I especially, but I think all three of us are big behind the scenes geeks.
Yeah.
So anytime we can get to talk to people and get the behind the scenes stories and stuff, we absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So I guess the first question I have for each of y'all is, how did you get your start in acting and what inspired you to become an actor? So Emily, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So again, thanks for having us. Very exciting. I'm so glad you guys like the film. It was quite the adventure. So just very quickly, I always wanted to act. I was such a ham from a child. And then I was actually in high school plays in middle school because I hard-nosed my way in with the teacher. I was like, I want to be in the high school plays when I was in 6th grade and 7th grade. So I did all of that. And then I went to Penn State main campus for theater and graduated with a theater degree and a business degree, and then moved to Los Angeles right after I graduated and started acting, and then started moving behind the camera as well. So started coordinating, producing, and that is how I actually was on this film.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So if you saw the credits, I was actually the coordinator on this film first and foremost. And then one of our actresses got stuck in the worst snowstorm and ice storm that Oklahoma has seen in 50 years.
Wow.
Is when we were filming this movie. So she did not have a car that could get to our location, and she was doing another film in Oklahoma City. Anyway, for safety reasons, she could not play Lily. And so I told the director, I said, I would be happy to do it. I kind of have sandy blonde hair. I look like I could possibly be Ross's sister. So basically, we just had a Zoom call the night before filming.
Mm-hmm.
And he auditioned us together, and you're hired. So I was doing both things. It was hectic.
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
And James can tell you, I was running around like a mad person.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emily's introduction to me was my first day on the set, calling her on my phone while I'm in the car going, I'm trying to find a place to park, and some guy just told me to go effing park somewhere else, and I'm trying to get my wardrobe into the, and I was, and he's a really great guy. It's Cowboy. He's a great guy, but he was just kind of like, you just move your car. And I'm like, I'm trying to, so I flipped him off and he flipped me off, and then we became good friends. But I called him, I was like, she's like, just come around front. We'll get your stuff out of the car. She's like, I'm trying to take care of this stupid actor,
Oh my goodness.
But I just drove through 13 inches of snow to get to set. And I'm trying to find a place to park because I had to get some wardrobe and stuff out of my car. And
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yet, even though that was the worst snowstorm Oklahoma's seen in years, there's still a lot of fake snow on the set, including the snowmen.
Yeah.
Which I just saw
Yeah.
some
What?
I just saw some behind the scene photos of what the snowmen actually were, which was like a stick with a
Yeah.
head on it. And then the rest
Oh
of
my
it
gosh.
animated. It's like the hilarious.
Yeah, the
If
snowman
somehow
is
I can
is
find that photo,
CG.
I'll slip it to you guys.
Wow.
We would love that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my
We'll talk
gosh.
about snowmen in a little bit. Get their intros, and then I'll tell you more about the snowmen. Oh gosh.
Ooh.
Yeah. So were y'all real quick? Were y'all filming in Oklahoma then?
In Tulsa.
Yeah, in Tulsa.
Oh,
Okay.
It was all in
I
Tulsa.
actually, yeah, I've been there at least 5 times from
Yeah, when
from
we were filming inside, we had tons of snow. When we filmed outside, like the very last scene, that's just a blanket laying on the ground to look like snow and everything. When we needed it, it wasn't there. And I felt guilty. And Colleen will tell you how she got in the business. I'll tell you how I got in the business. But I felt guilty because the whole time we're there, I'm in a nice warm hotel with hot water and Wi-Fi. And my family is in Texas, the entire state, with no power, no water,
oh my
nothing,
goodness.
because they were frozen
that's
for 4
right.
days. Yeah, you remember?
Oh no.
I felt so bad. My wife and daughter are sleeping on the couch and in the love seat in the living room with a gas fireplace to have heat.
Oh wow.
And I made, I don't know how many stops at every Dollar General, Walmart, CVS on the way home to stop and pick up water and non-perishable cans of soup and stuff, because we have a gas stove. We could at least
Mhm.
cook food, no microwaves and stuff like that, but we could at least cook. So they had no water, they had no food, they had nothing. So
Wow.
I'm buying an ice chest and putting things in an ice chest and driving home when the shoot was
Yes.
finally over. So Colleen, I'm sorry, please tell them how you got into acting.
That's really
Oh.
smart though.
Yeah.
How I got into acting. Sorry, I got so sidetracked. So I was like Emily, I mean, I've always wanted to be an actor. There's never been any other thing I wanted to be. My parents told me that they knew that I was going to be when I was 4 years old, and I asked to dress as Charlie Chaplin for Halloween instead of a princess.
Aw.
And my dad
I
said
love
was
that.
the perfect
I love it too.
impersonation. And I've been playing a drunk ever since. I'm just kidding. But so that was my start. I went to college at Northern Illinois University in a Meisner Conservatory program for acting. And I'm originally from Chicago. Stayed in Chicago for a while, did like Second City and Improv Olympic and improv and a lot of theater, and was very into the underground horror scene. I'm very into horror movies. And then moved out to LA and did some more improv and started doing TV and film, and the rest is history. And then I was in the Christmas Love Tree, which is now called Love at the Christmas Contest.
Cool.
That's awesome.
That's a fun bit you just let out there, Colleen.
Yeah, it had a couple of different names. We weren't sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took some improv classes when I was in high school. I was in an improv club, I think my sophomore year, I think. It was a lot of fun. I had a great
it's
time.
awesome. It's a good confidence builder.
Yeah.
It is.
My school.
Yes, and
My school was so
Yes,
Yeah.
small.
Yes, and
your high school was what?
my high school was very small, so we didn't really
Mine
get
was
to
too.
have those things like dramas classes, theater classes and things like that. Like we put on plays, and I would get to sing or do a little bit of acting just for like a school play, but for like Christmas or something, just to put on parents that we would do maybe once a year. But it was never any kind of like specific classes. Nobody really knew how to act. Everybody was just like, to say these lines however you want to try and say them as normal as you can, and just go and do that. Which most of the time I would just be like, can I just sing? Because I know how to sing. I can do that. Just, yeah. But I did always used to as well love, like Kerri said, I've always been a behind the scenes nerd. I've always loved watching like behind the scenes takes of my favorite movies, like how they do the camera, how they do stunts and different things like that. So I definitely think I'm more a behind the scenes person than a in front of the camera person. but it's so cool to hear you guys talk about how y'all got y'all start, and then to see, like Emily was behind the scenes and got in front of the screen. So I mean, in front of the camera, which was really cool.
Well, they're expanding all of these independent movies, like the Lifetime movies and the Hallmark movies, like all over the country. They're shooting them now. You guys should. You're such big fans. Like, at least maybe try to get on like background for one of them.
I've actually worked on a couple of sets, not for like Hallmark stuff, but I love it. Like that has been my dream since I was 10 years old. Like you said, there's literally that one dream that I've had and it has never changed, but I love it. Like I've started out as an extra coordinator, and then this second time I was an extra coordinator and second AD, and they put me in front of the camera.
You're like you're in the okay.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
And she's amazing at what she does. I mean, she's constantly getting like she wasn't able to go to Los Angeles for the other second part of filming for this particular movie, and like people were texting her like, oh my God, the one time that you can't be here and we need you the most. And like texting her how much they missed her. And I'm like, see, that goes to show you that that's where you're meant to be.
And you just go ahead, Kerri.
Apparently they ended up like 3 people apparently quit on them trying to do the job that I was doing. I'm like, no wonder y'all said I was the best. Everybody else quit, so I'll stick around. So.
And you just finished your first draft of a script, Kerri.
She did.
Yes. So
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good.
And my dad and I are working on a Hallmark kind of screenplay as well. I mean, it could go to Hallmark, Great American Family, any of those channels. So
awesome.
Yeah,
they're all doing it.
I
mean, Lifetime, Hallmark. This last thing I did was on Discovery Plus. It's a big market for it. So there's a lot of, and that's why so many of them are made and then they're sold too. They're not actually I mean, yes, we audition for movies that are specifically Lifetime or Hallmark, but a lot of them are just somebody's doing a movie. Judy and Mickey, that's a whole reference for people that they wouldn't know. Judy and Mickey, we have a barn, we're going to put on a play kind of a thing. And then they sell it, to Netflix and Amazon. And
believe it or not, you're talking about Babes on Broadway, right?
Yeah, Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney.
You're speaking her language.
Got a barn and let's put on a play. Yeah, exactly.
Of course you would know that, Kerri.
You are speaking my language right there, James.
Well, I'm old, so I always assume that people won't, get my references.
No. I barely watch anything that is newer than the 60s, like 30s to 60s.
You are exactly my mom. You are my mom.
In a way, I'm an old soul.
That too.
In a way, I'm an old soul too, because I love the oldies music as well, and a lot of the classic older movies as well from before the 90s.
My mom I was surprised the only reason I think she even watched this movie is because it was a Hallmark Christmas movie. Everything else has to have taken place or filmed before the maybe 60s.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite shows, and I started watching this because of my dad. My dad got me into this show, WKRP in Cincinnati. One of the best shows ever written, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the odd one out. I'm definitely not an old soul. I grew up like my parents obviously kind of raised me on like the 80s stuff. So 80s music, 80s films, and things like that. So I don't go any later than the 80s unless it's like older, like Elvis Presley movies and things like that. I might handpick a few of those, but from the later I go is 80s, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm the least 90s kid you'll ever meet, but we need to let James get a word in edgewise here.
Go ahead.
Yes, tell us how he got into acting. Sorry, James. This is what you get for doing a podcast with a bunch of women. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. I was a theater major in high school and college, and I literally got into drama in high school because our first year, my best friend, we would go in and have to sign up for our classes. Kind of like going to college. In my high school, you could sign up for your classes. and we needed another elective.
Cool.
He said, "You want to take drama?" And I said, "Sure." And I mean, I was always the class clown, as they say, but I said, "Yeah, sure." So I got in and I did my very first play. The night Thoreau spent in jail, I was the farmer. I had like 2 lines, and I went, "Oh, I love this." And I just loved the creative process. And I love the fact that these were people who, because I wasn't popular, I wasn't a football jock, or, I was just a kid going to school. I didn't have a group to hang with, a clique to fit into. And they didn't care if you were, what your sexual orientation was, what color your skin was, what your religious, but they didn't care. Can you do sets? Can you do lighting? Can you act? Then you're welcome to join. And so I loved it. I stayed in it, and I started taking voice lessons and tap ballet and jazz, which that's not real cool to do as a kid in Texas. Dance lessons, and went to college for it, and started. My very first one-liner was on the Who Shot JR episode of Dallas back in 1980. I had one line, and
Wow.
qualified for the Screen Actors Guild. After college, I was going to go to LA, and my agent here in Texas said, "No, don't. You won't work until your 30s. Everybody's out there, they don't work until their 30s." What she failed to realize was 2 things. One, the people that were working in their 30s had been out there for 10 years, struggling, trying to get to somebody to know who they are. So they started in their teens and 20s. And 2, some show came along, I think it's called 90210. And instead of everybody being in their 30s, suddenly this whole 18 to 20 genre teen angst thing, and that became very popular. So by the time I moved
Blew up.
in my
Yeah, that
early
blew up.
30s, I was the old guy showing up. I mean, kids that were 18 to 25 were getting cast in series regulars and leads, and it's still happening today. There's, kids with 5 credits are series regulars on a show. But I did well. I mean, I did Will and Grace, Judging Amy, Jag, News Radio. I had a recurring character on a Disney show called Even Stevens that starred Shia LaBeouf.
I love that show. That's awesome.
I played Mr. Winnick, the math teacher.
Oh yes, that's right.
I lived in LA for 7 years. I lived in New York right out of college for a little while because I was going to be a Broadway star. And I met a woman. I said, "I love you." She said, "Get a job." And I had a real job while I was pursuing this career.
I'm
Aw.
obsessed with Even Stevens. Like no one that I've had a crush on Shia LaBeouf since I was
That's awesome.
15. Like I'm still in love with him, even though he's a little wild.
I'll let him know, Emily. See if he's available.
Please, thank you.
What was it like working? What was it like working with Christy Carlson Romano? Because I've always been a fan of her work as well.
My favorite episode is the one that is one of the ones where my scenes were with her. It was the one where she was trying to become a cheerleader, and the other cheerleaders didn't think she had enough spirit. So she did the math problem on the board like a cheer.
That's awesome. Yeah.
X plus Y equals da da da. She started, and of course, if you're an adult in a Disney film, you've got to be a goober. So I'm over there, cabbage patching and going, "Yay!" Math, and that's okay. It was fun. And they paid me well.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is so cool. Well, we've heard how Emily got her role on this film, but James, how did you get your role on this film?
My agent sent me the audition. Well, she submits, and then they say, "Yes, we want to see James for the audition." I read for it, or did a self-tape. That's where I'm in my studio right now. I've got my camera and all the stuff here. And I taped the audition, sent it in, and then I got notification there was a callback. And at the callback, there was the casting director, her assistant. That's a wonderful lady named Ricky, and her assistant was the reader. And John was on there, Josh was on there. Those are the director and producer, and Cassidy, who I didn't realize at the time, but I'd actually worked with Cassidy before. I'd done a movie with her called Sick Girl. I went in and I think I was in one scene in that movie, and did the callback this way. It's because of COVID, nothing's in person anymore.
Right.
So I did a Zoom callback, and I had a good feeling about it because at the end of the audition, it was Cassidy who who said, "Okay, I'm not crying, you're crying." And so I knew that I had affected them, and it went well. And when Ricky called me to tell me I had gotten the role, she was like, "You've got to take this because you beat out a recognizable name for this. That's how much they want you." And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, okay." Because I had another offer of a possible that was going to conflict, and I was thinking about taking the other offer. And she goes, "No, no, you got to do this. This is a great
Wow.
role and great project, and they took you over a recognizable name and face." So I was like, "Ooh,
Wow.
that's cool." So
That's
that's how
I
I
love
did.
awesome.
that. I love that. Colleen, how about you?
My process was pretty same as James. Got the audition from my agent, and then I actually read for the part I got, Betty, and then I also read for Emily's part. And to be honest, so the role of Betty said that it was for a 60-year-old woman. So I got a little what when they called me in for the part. So I was like, okay, well, I want the part that Emily's part, the sister or whatever. I was like, I'm just gonna go really big and be crazy and just have fun doing the Betty audition. And I did it way over the top. And I guess they liked that because I got called back for that role. And the callback was really fun. I don't know on the Zoom. The only person I even saw on the Zoom was the director, John. I'm sure the other people were watching, but I didn't see anybody. And John was really cool. He had me do this in the callbacks, and he let me do this on set the whole time. So he's like, okay, just do it like a normal human, and then do it again, and you can just go crazy, Colleen. And so that was like really fun. And it totally, like, when you have like a director tell you, just be yourself and have fun and be crazy, like that callback was probably the least nerves, like easiest callback I've ever done, because I was allowed to just, he knew he could see that there was like this beast that needed to come out, and he let me just do it. And so he did that on set too. He's like, okay, we're gonna do the couple takes, just normal, and now just go crazy. And so some of those crazy takes are in the film. Some of the normal ones are. You can tell, I think, if you actually like pay attention, if you rewatched it after everything I'm saying, you can be like, oh yeah, that was definitely one of the ones where he let her crazy. So that was my experience. It was
yeah.
really, really cool. And in
Yeah,
the
I
end,
love that.
I got that part.
That's
the-
awesome.
I could,
Yeah.
I'm a character actor. I like to be wild and crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the characters that you really remember.
Yeah.
If it's anyone else that doesn't go
I'm
crazy,
glad
like, I'm
you
not saying that, but like, I feel like they're really memorable.
And your favorite
Yeah.
parts too.
Yeah.
Right? Favorite
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
I know, like from
like-
working on set, it's fun to see when a director does kind of go, yeah, just when an actor is able to go, hey, I got an idea, and he's like, yeah, shoot, go ahead, and for them to just like improv. The both of them that I've worked on the Mayberry Man movie and then the Mayberry Man series, and Jacob Winter that played Shane, several of his things in the movie are improv. And Brett Varvel, our leading man, said that some of his most proud acting in that movie is at a time that Jacob just went improv and starts telling this crazy story of his aunt's feral bird that bit him and blah, 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 blah. And Brett's supposed to be so serious, answering a phone call, completely ignoring him. And he's trying not to die laughing at him, but he was like, that's my proudest moment of acting in this movie, because Jacob can be just like, he's a complete goofball. But to watch him, or there's a particular scene where he's like swinging a golf club, and he like throws it, and of course it's off camera, somebody actually tosses one over his head and makes it land behind him, and the guys that are standing there are all turned looking at the golf club, and he reaches down, grabs the golf ball, throws it down the field, and then he goes, "Oh, there it is." But that was complete improv. Like that was not in the script. So just little stuff like that it's like, the fact that our director gave him that flexibility to just be goofy, and a lot of it did make the cut. I love that though.
I love directors who trust their actors. I mean, you hired me to do a job and trust that I'm going to, obviously if I'm completely off vision, rein me back in. But if you just trust me to do what you hired me to do. And I used to do, I studied improv here in Texas. And when I lived in Los Angeles, I was part of an improv group. I did stand-up comedy at, the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, the Ice House in Pasadena. And I think I can be really funny. And yet I get called in for dramatic roles more 99% of the time. I don't get much opportunity to be funny. And being a police officer for 30 years, people see that and they think I'm a serious guy as well. So
yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for your service on that note.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
do y'all have any
do you
have any yeah, go ahead.
No, that's right. Go ahead. I got a question for you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say what was I've watched your podcast I watched your YouTube thing on there.
Oh.
I know you guys loved Colleen. That was like your favorite was Colleen. But I was just curious, the three of you, is there a specific moment or scene or something in the movie that, like when she turns and you guys were laughing about her throwing the cookies, you laughed about, the fake sunflowers. I watched it. I saw it, just kind of curious if each of you has a scene or a moment or something that you really liked.
Could you tell the snowmen were real?
I can't say honestly that I remember paying that much attention to the snowman, except for the fact that was not a pickle. That was a cucumber. That was not a pickle.
Yeah.
The discussions these two have had on this movie is hilarious.
Yeah. I would say for me, a couple of my favorite scenes, and Emily, I was going to bring this one up to you, that I loved Lily's character. And like when Angie comes over to the house and Lily tells her to be sure to look under the couch. Because apparently David has like cleaned the house from top to bottom at this point.
Yes. So funny story. And you guys haven't seen like the director's cut of this. They actually cut a scene that makes that scene you're talking about make so much more sense. So there is a scene that they cut out on Great American Family where I walk in and his daughter, my niece, is lifting up stuff, has the vacuum. He's vacuuming under the couch and all this crazy stuff. And so there is that scene that happens and I'm like, what are you doing? So that's, but I'm glad that you picked it up even without that scene. So.
And the director's cut is on the one that's on Amazon now and stuff, right, guys?
Right.
Yeah. I don't think that scene
I want to see the full one because he also said they changed some of the music and stuff for the Great American Family one. So
they did.
Like the director's cut, real music, everything should be the Amazon one and the one that's on Tubi and stuff.
Yes,
on Tubi, Freevee, Amazon. And I was disappointed because that scene with Angie and I at the table, GAF thought it was too dramatic, too heavy. And so they cut it right about me talking about the dog eating the turkey. And then, because there's a beautiful moment with Angie and I after.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah,
that was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went and I did go and look at that scene, James, and having lost my mom this year and this being the first Christmas without her, this movie felt very relatable to me on a lot of those levels. I can't say I've struggled quite as much as Angie did in this story with like everything having to be the same. But definitely for me, she passed away in March, and kind of one of the first things that I had to figure out for myself is, okay, how do I do things?
Right.
Because I'm not my mom. And I mean, I love my mom, but I'm not my mom. So how do I do things now? And like, you know, this Christmas, I'm like, okay, obviously there are certain things that I want to do the same, that I want to keep, but at the same time, she's not here anymore. So what is our new normal per se? You know,
Right.
and you know, our family. Oh boy, I've lost both of my grandfathers and my mom in 11 months. My mom's mom has been through cancer twice. I mean, we have been through a lot over the past year. And so for me, just, you know, the Thanksgiving Day, I spent at least 20 minutes in tears, and I'm just like, you know, just trying to find that, you know, she's where she wants to be now. She's where she always wanted to be, but just knowing that that love does not die just because they did. You know, so that scene, especially the one that you're talking about, like several things in this movie felt very relatable to me, but that particular scene that you had told me to go look at, I really felt that, like, that really connected with me.
That's
I'm
awesome.
sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. You're young to have lost that much. My father died Friday the 9th. It'll be a year that my dad died, but you know, he was in his 80s. And so not that I'm going, oh, he's dead, but it just, you know, it's a lot easier to accept when they've had a nice long life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
My mom was literally a couple of weeks away from being 52.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely unexpected. None of us, you know, were thinking that was what was going to happen. But I was like, you know, I think the only thing that she had planned to do that she did not get done was frying squirrel. And I'm like, if frying squirrel, I live in the country. Yes, we eat squirrel.
We do.
I lived in Afghanistan for a year. I ate pigeons, so it's okay.
So sorry,
Yeah.
wait. So she didn't get to try actually frying the squirrel, or she didn't get to try eating it?
Oh, she had cooked it for years, but my dad had been hunting squirrel recently, so she had planned to cook up a batch. We had not made any in a long time. And that was kind of like the one thing that she had planned to do that she didn't get done. And I was like, you know what? If that's the only thing she left unaccomplished, that's a heck of a life.
Yeah.
You know, she homeschooled me and my brother and stuff. So it was, yeah, I mean, it's been hard, but at the same time, just she was very supportive of me in my dreams and pursuing what I wanted to do with my life and stuff. So that was really, really awesome. Colleen, to go back to Betty's character, to me, she was just such a fun, lively character. Kind of what do you imagine Betty like in real life? Like, you know, what do you imagine her character being?
Well, after I got cast in it, I literally wore my mom's clothes for the audition. So when I was in elementary school, there was a teacher at my school. She wasn't my teacher, but she dressed like really old fashioned. Like she literally like wore dresses from like Little House on the Prairie. Like that was just her style, as she dressed.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Really period piece.
Mhm.
And so to be honest, that's who I thought of after I got cast in the character. And we had a meeting with the director and the costume designer, and she was asking me like what I was thinking, and I was like, I think that she dresses like old fashioned-y. We didn't go as far old fashioned as like Little House on the Prairie or whatever, but that's just like how I saw her. I saw her dressing kind of like someone who is in like a Charles Dickens movie, you know, like she sticks out and she's like, just all she cares about is the town and Christmas and like the busybody and I have to get everything done, kind of control freaky, but good-hearted, obviously. And
Mhm.
maybe people think she's a little annoying, but they still love her so much. So that's how
It's-
I saw it.
Yeah. Is it just me or is that description somewhat Rosemary?
Yes, I was
Yes.
just going to say that.
Wait, who's Rosemary?
From When Calls the Heart. From When Calls the Heart.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
She is
It's
the
a
very
it's a period drama on
Yeah.
on Hallmark, and
Yeah.
there's she's actually a actress, and she comes to this small town, and she's very eccentric, very
Yeah.
loud, very proud, very control freakish. She definitely takes on the role of planning all the events in town, and she's
Yeah.
constantly singing, constantly doing her hands like this, and just like
What's
like
the
hello,
what's the
like
show called?
When Calls the Heart.
When Calls the Heart?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I
It's
bet my
ba-
mom watches it. I'll ask her.
It's
The,
based on the books by Jeanette Oak.
Okay. All right, I'll check
the
it out.
actress is the actress
Pascal
who plays
Hutton.
Rosemary is Pascal Hutton.
Okay.
She's amazing. She's been in numerous other Hallmark movies, but the description was perfect for Rosemary.
Hey,
Yeah,
Colleen,
for sure.
I was going to say when I watched their playback on the YouTube, they picked up that there was a possible hint at a link between you and me, a relationship, and I was thinking about it time because I was like, well, first off, I'm too old for Colleen, but second off, I was jokingly the whole time we were on set, I kept saying, yeah, this could be the sequel. Her and I can hook up, and in the sequel.
I told you that, didn't I? Before I read the whole script, as I was reading the script, I was like, Betty and the dad are gonna get together. That's gonna be like the side story. Like,
And
I totally
if you were
100%
20 years
thought
older,
that.
we could have. But you're too
Well,
young.
I was 60 years old in the script.
Well, see,
I'm
I
still little.
I just kind of assumed, like, I just kind of assumed y'all were like just watching the story that y'all were supposed to be fairly close in age and stuff, but
They only let
I mean,
that
the new thing is a lot of people who do have a huge age gap. I mean, like age is nothing but a number now. I mean, there's so many people who are like
I've
have big
dated
age
someone
differences.
your age before, James, in real life, so that's fine. But
Because I'm so old, I got to put my teeth in. Hold on just a second.
when we were watching the movie for the first time at the premiere too, we were talking about that. When that part, was that in the Great American Family version where she was like, I have to get home and put dad to bed or something. And James and me were sitting by each other while we were watching it. And he's like, what am I, like 90 and living at home? She's got to get home and put me to bed. Like I'm incompetent.
That was her excuse. That's all.
Oh my goodness.
But you guys saw the little part where we were like having hot chocolate.
yes.
Yeah.
That was an improv.
I love this.
No, I mean, just kind of when I saw that, and it's funny, James, that you brought it up because I was just about to ask y'all about that because I was just like, okay, of course, I'm a hopeless romantic, so and like me and Morgan especially, but Nicole as well. If we see something, I can literally, I don't even remember, was it Christmas Con that there was a picture of like 5 or 6 Hallmark actors, and within like
I think it was
minutes,
Christmas Con. Yeah.
within like 20 minutes, I had a complete storyline worked up to include each one of those people. So, I mean, this is just how my brain works.
We've even like come up with like really cool like antics that we could see some of our favorite actors do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like what funny things that they could post on Instagram for their fans. Like we've even given like we interviewed Andrew Walker not too long ago, and we're hoping to interview him again, but we even shared some of the things that we were kind of imagining what would happen like behind the scenes if he did a movie with certain actors. And we were like, and he was loving it. He's like, yeah, that would be amazing, and it's great PR to do things like that and put it like on Instagram and stuff like that. It really helps promote the movie, that's what really, I feel like really helped whenever they were promoting Three Wise Men and a Baby on Hallmark. But we'll even do that. We're like, our brains are like nonstop coming up with ideas on like movie ideas, scene ideas.
Yeah.
Like,
You guys should
can't get
write
enough
the
of it.
sequel to this and have me and
There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
There you
Another
go.
project there.
I don't even remember.
There you go. That's my third script because I have one that I'm supposed to be writing for Darby Hinton after I finish this one for Andrew Walker. So yeah. But dang it, there was something specific I was gonna say. James, you as the dad in this movie, obviously I know you really loved that scene between you and Angie, but I also loved kind of some of the lighter hearted moments like between you and I'm drawing a complete blank on Triana's character's name. I'm so sorry. But when y'all were picking on Angie when she's insisting this is not a date.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite. I love whenever you get dads picking on people. Like I love it whenever they have the dads pick on people because it's just.
Well, I can relate to the dad in a lot of different ways because he's playful. I like to be very playful and goofy and not hopefully in an immature way, but it's sometimes if you feel like let's just pardon the expression, let my hair down, and just be a little goofy, and in that case we were just pointing out the obvious where I go, it's a day,
Yeah.
And like at the end of the scene, her and I are totally ad-libbing the gumdrops and the candies and the things.
Yeah.
And the director just let the camera roll. So just see what happens.
Yeah. I also loved the like when you're getting ready to send them off and you start saying like what you would have told them when they were in high.
Yeah.
Or when they come back.
I'll come out in my bathrobe looking for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when they walk out and David's like, your dad is just like I remember him. He has not changed a bit. But then when they come back and obviously you interrupt the kiss and she's like, Dad, you're like, oh, I've got something in the kitchen, like yeah. So I loved those lighter hearted moments with you in that. Obviously the heartfelt moments are great, but I also loved I'm a sucker for comedy. Like
watching your YouTube video, you ladies also loved all the inventive names for the gingerbread, all the Washington, the Gingergate Bridge, the ginger towering of ginger, leaning tower of ginger.
Yeah, leaning tower of ginger.
Yeah. Yes. Oh man. Were there any like I know every set is different, but were there really any like pranks or anything that went on set? Because I know from working on set, I love the look on Colleen's face right now. I know from working on set, everybody becomes family pretty much. Like, so you become very when we filmed the Mayberry Man movie in 2020, it was like middle of COVID. And we were filming and we had been in Indiana and we went to North Carolina to film. And there was a group of, I think about 30 of us that went to Cracker Barrel to eat supper. And they were flipping out because we wanted to move all of our tables together. And we're trying to explain to them, we're all together, whatever. And they're like, y'all are going to get us in trouble. And I was like, we've been living together for 2 weeks and our first AD looks at me with his eyes wide. And I was like, Tom, what do you call it when we're spending like all but 2 hours a day together for 2 weeks? And he's like, okay, good point. But you definitely, you start picking on each other. I know for me, I have like zero training in this whatsoever. I've just always been a big behind the scenes geek and watched movies all my life and stuff, so apparently I have a natural knack for it. I guess I can get into it fairly easily and pick up on stuff easily, but to have like the friendships that you develop on set and stuff is definitely a blessing. I can't say we really had that many pranks, but like, are there any good stories like that from set?
Colleen?
I'll say that most of us became a really good family in the end.
Colleen?
There's no
No,
breaks.
and I
There was
feel
some
for
definite
Emily. Emily, chime
surprise.
in here, but I feel for Emily because she was behind the scenes knowing all the different things. I mean, we had, because of the snowstorm, we had trailers that, the pipes didn't work. We were in a
Uh-oh.
building where we were setting up Christmas trees and all for one of the parts of the shoot where they were doing the Christmas contest, and the plumbing in the building wasn't working. And,
Oh, no.
so people were getting a little, so poor Emily, she was having to try to do as an actor and also deal with all the stuff that was going on behind the set. But in the end, Colleen, Triana, and I, we all three kind of just hooked up and sat around and made fun of and laughed at each other and what was going on. And Ross, he was obviously the star, so he would be busy and everything. But when it was all said and done, there wasn't a lot of pranks, but there were some
things that I thought were jokes, but then they weren't.
Yeah,
That's what I'll say. And
so
I'm not
we all, by the time it was over, we all got along just fine. There was some, Emily's like suddenly trying to chime in here going, I don't know what I can say.
There was definitely some unbelievable moments.
Some unbelievable moments.
Emily, if you would like to take this moment to share and have a therapy session, you're more than welcome. Because it sounds like you might need it.
Yeah, it sounds like you might need it.
No, it was hectic. I mean, I was so excited to be in Oklahoma with like mild weather, mild winters, and then we just got hit in the face with something so extreme. We had to hire private contractors to plow the city streets because Tulsa ain't ready. Like they are not ready for a snowstorm. They have 3 trucks. They don't use salt, they use sand. People just don't go to work for 2 or however long it takes the ice to melt. Like people just don't go to work. Like people cancel their appointments. Like it's just how it goes. And our producer,
that sounds like Louisiana, except
Sounds like Charleston too, or Mount Pleasant. Yeah.
Our producer is from, grew up or spent a lot of time in Salt Lake City. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I'm like, this would have been gone by 10 a.m. Like, what's happening? So we had to, we were filming at a house, and we had to plow 2 city blocks, and pay private contractors. And it was just ice and snowy. Even my car didn't make it up. It was pretty interesting. Like, you can laugh now because we did it. Like, are we pushing? Are we not going to do this today? Are we going to tack on another day on the end? And I'm like, nope, like we're going. And I'm trying to think. The snow and the snowmen, I think, is the funniest thing because we're moving quickly in the schedule and the art department just wasn't ready to do the snowmen next. And we moved faster than we thought. So what ended up happening is it was like a stick with a snowman head. And then like they were using anything they could find to make the body at least appear as if there was something there, some sort of form. So I think there was like a 5-gallon bucket in there, like someone's wig, like, and covered it with a snow blanket. And it just kind of was like blocky. And I'm like, well, better than just the stick to work with. Those really funny. And that snow blanket that we put on at my house, right? At Lily's house on the front lawn, we had a wood chipper and chipped ice to make snow. And then it snowed. And so we could not thaw out the snow blanket. So we had to wait 2 weeks and go back to that person's house to like undress their yard.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Okay, so wait, pranks. Let me go with this. I think there was some sort of prank with the hot chocolate at one point. They were gonna like do some crazy names on the hot chocolate but then they ended up going with something like a little more relaxed. Everybody was too cold, I think, to prank anyone. To be honest.
Did you guys see? I probably shouldn't say this, but did you guys see that trophy? There's in the script, I'm supposed to give a trophy to them at the end, to the winners of the contest. And there was a trophy like on the prop table that they were clearly going to, well, they would have had to, it was a real trophy, and they were going to put like, you know, a fake plate over it because it was already engraved.
Yeah.
And it was engraved with I don't want to say it on the thing. It was engraved with F-U-C-K face.
Really?
Yes, I took a picture of it because I was like, who
I did.
has a trophy with that engraved on it? Like it was like a nice, legit trophy, and it was engraved.
That's funny.
That face.
That was my nickname from my best friend growing up. That's what he used to call me. So it's probably my trophy.
I was like, and then they never used it. So I was like, I guess it was like so nice looking. They couldn't come up with like a cheaper thing to put over it, or I don't know, but no one saw that besides me. I'm going to find the picture. I'll send it to you.
That's amazing.
A couple more
Oh
fun.
my goodness.
The picture on the refrigerator of the mom
Mm-hmm.
is, did we talk about this yet?
Mm-mm.
No, was actually the manager of the lodge where we did a lot of the filming, where a lot of the Christmas decorating was happening.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is
Aw.
Trish. It's lovely. Yeah, yep. And then the picture of of Gabby with her mom. I actually have that photo. It's in my own living room. People were always like, "Who's that?"
Oh.
And that is the little girl actor's real mother.
Real mom. Yeah.
Wow.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
I love
that
little
lodge
sentimental
we
things
stayed
that
at.
pop up.
It was a nice lodge, but it was a death trap there for a while to try to get in and out of because it was uphill and downhill on the ice. So I guess it was the first 2 or 3 days I stayed in a hotel right off the highway. So I couldn't, my car, because I was just driving a car, not like a big SUV or 4-wheel drive. I couldn't get up into the side of this hill to get up to the lodge. So I stayed at a comfort quality inn or something for 2 nights or something.
Oh wow.
That kind of reminds me of we went to Tennessee for a family vacation. I was about 15, and we were in like we were heading on vacation to Tennessee, and like our cabin was like literally on top of one of the Smoky Mountains. Like it was, I mean, one of these mountains, and it was like way up there. And like we were in like this little tiny little Buick car, and it was like 6 of us crammed in this tiny little car, and like literally next thing I know, the car is going back down the hill backwards, not intentionally. Like it just started, like it was bad. Like I thought we were gonna die. I'm like, is it really worth staying in this cabin if we're gonna die every time we try and get out of the up and down this hill? We finally made it somehow by the grace of God, because it was crazy. It was not even snow on the ground, but for some reason, like the road was icy, and it was that reminds me of something like that, because we were in like this tiny little Buick car trying to go up this mountain to this cabin. It was crazy.
I came down one time and almost slid into the ditch, but I was fine. I was able to make it out. But I'm going to have to sign off here in just a couple of minutes. I know because I've got to pack. Emily's got to pack. Colleen's got things we got to do too. So, thank you, ladies, so much for enjoying this movie and going back and watching it the second time. That has all the scenes that Emily and Colleen and Triana and Ross and I enjoyed doing that GAF didn't think should be in the movie, and we appreciate
you so much.
We appreciate your response to this. It was great. Colleen saw a posting, I guess, of one of you guys saying you're going to be doing this. She goes, "Hey, you guys, look at this." So I thought, oh well, I'll go in and look, and I watched it. I sat and I laughed at you. You were doing your reviews, talking about the
I'm glad we could provide some
and the
entertainment.
Cookies and everything. So.
With you and laughed with them, Gene.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, No, I was laughing at you. I was laughing at you
He
because
has
you
it
girls were
right.
laughing and
Laughing
giggling.
He
at
has it right. He has it right by laughing at us. Yeah.
No, we can get a little interesting at times, that's for sure. But thank you guys
Yes,
so
thank
much
you so much.
Thank you guys.
for coming on. It has been absolutely lovely talking to all of you. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedules to chat with us. I'm sure everybody will love hearing some of these behind the scenes stories. And if nobody has anything else to say, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Night, y'all.